What's up, everybody at Root and Vine? I'm excited to be with you guys today. My name is Noah Schumacher, and I have the honor of getting to do an interview with somebody that, if you're over at Root and Vine and follow what we do, you're familiar with Eric Maitlen and his music, which has been so inspiring, so awesome. And today we're going to get a little bit into the interview and see more about the why and what he's doing and how he's bringing so much hope to people. And I hope that you guys are inspired. I hope that you guys are inspired, but I also hope that you see a little bit more behind what's happening in our country with the opiate addiction and see the battle that's going on in our country. Eric, you there? Can you hear me?
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you perfectly. It's good to
Great
see
to
you
be
finally.
with you. You too. Thanks, Noah. Thanks for having me.
It's been cool connecting with you and getting to build a friendship like this. And right
Absolutely.
off the bat, I just want to ask you, Eric, 28 Ministries, which is the name of what your ministry is and what you guys are doing. I would love to know the name behind it, and I'm sure others would too. Can you just give us a quick rundown of what that name means, where it comes from?
Yeah, that's a good question. I went to Indiana University, great Christian school, and I'm just joking. I went from IU though into missions work, which was just a real left turn for me. I didn't even know what missions work looked like when I first became really a Christian at IU and trying to follow the teachings of Jesus and all this. And I ended up moving to India for a year after college and really just saw poverty for the first time. I saw unreached people groups for the first time, people that never heard the gospel, and just saw a lot of things I'd never seen and had this heart for global missions. Came back and married my wife, Jillian, and we make music together. We've been married and doing that for 15 years. And we needed a band name the night before a battle of the bands. And we worked for this other nonprofit that did music and missions in over 40 countries and stuff. And my mentor, Jim, said, just call it 2-8 from Psalm 2-8, ask me for the nations. And that's what it is. We just kept the name. It went from a band into a nonprofit, but we still do international work with music. We've taken a break for the reasons we're talking about today to focus more on the opioid epidemic. But yeah, our first love is international music and missions and partnering with nonprofits and recovery efforts and faith movements overseas. So.
Yeah, I love it. And I love how you guys are creatively using music into the ministry of what you guys are called to do. Because I know about a month ago you were on Root and Vine and it was showcasing the music portion. But today I'm excited because we get to jump into a mutual passion, which is helping those who are battling substance abuse disorder, or as many people are aware or call it, drug addiction. But I hope that maybe in this conversation you can help shed light in how you're combining music into battling the opiate addiction in our country. I'd love for you to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. In 2017 and 18, we started seeing the opioid epidemic hitting Indiana really, really hard. It had already been happening, but it was interesting because my wife and I have always had a heart for recovery ministry. She came out of a lifestyle of substance abuse disorder, and she would tell you she never went to high school sober, and had to finish night school afterwards and stuff. And so we are the most unlikely people to do what we do. But, Jillian's story of recovery has just been something that's been a big part of our ministry. We talk about it. We want young people to know, hey, there is hope. There is life on the other side of this. You can beat this. And so for us to have been working with recovery efforts since 2005 and to not know what was really happening in our own backyard around the overdose epidemic, especially around opioids and fentanyl and things like this, it was just like I felt like aliens land on the planet and I was the last one to find out, because how could I not know this was happening at the scale it was happening? Overdose had already become the leading cause of accidental death by 2017, killed over 70,000 Americans to fatal. We lost that many to fatal overdoses in 2017. And to put that in perspective, that's a 737 going down every single day. Yesterday, today, it's going to happen again tomorrow. And so we knew we needed to start talking about it. I started going to every single call-out meeting I could go to around opioids and all of that was happening. And I found that all these meetings were underattended. Nobody really cared because we've been taught from a young age, the whole Dare Scare campaign, like those people are criminal, stay away from those people. Don't let your kids hang out with these people. But from the seat that we've hung out with people in recovery for long enough. They're some of the best human beings I know, because they've gone beyond sobriety. They're now helping other people find freedom. They're not scared of the dark. They'll go talk to anybody and help anybody that most people be terrified of. They'll go into prisons. They'll go into the places that most Christians don't want to go and bring hope and recovery and use their life to help another. And so that stigma that surrounds addiction is something that I really care a lot about. And I'll tell you why. I was going to all these call-out meetings. I was meeting some of our bureau chiefs and different people who were working on it at a healthcare level. I met coroners. I met police officers, first responders, and just learned a lot. And I was like, we have to tell people what's happening. And these meetings are not very effective because you're in this board meeting room atmosphere with fluorescent lights and a PowerPoint slide. And I had a family member who was struggling with a heroin addiction. And so I got a face and I've got a name. These charts and stats and graphs aren't cutting it.
Yeah,
and
so for you, it's personal.
It's personal. It became personal when I found out my niece Olivia had been using heroin, and it's because she started using her mom's pain pills when she was 9. She would steal her mom's opioids. And how are you going to beat that? You know, it falls under a mental health disorder because it does change your brain chemistry so much that someone recovering from an opioid use disorder, it can take your brain up to 2 years to normalize. Well, you and I would have a piece of chocolate or see the sunrise, you know, and have that dopamine hit, like, oh, that's beautiful, this feels good. No, it's going to take their brain up to 2 years to feel that way again because it's so thrown out of whack. So we knew we had to start talking about this. I reached out to one of my best friends who is a producer for PBS and WFYI here in Indianapolis. He had been doing heart pieces around the state following the epidemic, and I said, we've got to do something. We use film and we use music. I called all my musician friends together. We said, we got to find a way to get this further out. So we built a film experience. It runs about 40 minutes long, and it just takes people through what's happening. And a lot of the same information I was getting at these meetings, I put into this concert. We use the music as a language of our culture. We use Coldplay. We use Motown. We use John Mellencamp because he's from Indiana. We use Jackson 5 because they're from Indiana. But we wanted to just find a new way of waking people up to what was happening.
Yeah, see, I love the creativity of what you guys are doing and how you thought outside the box, which when you and I first talked and you shared the entire story and like how you guys are doing what you're doing, that's what strikes me the most, is that you're taking, you know, the gospel of Jesus and doing things that I think most church folk and Christians in our country wouldn't expect it. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I got you back.
One of my big things that, you know, I struggle with in this whole conversation is the stereotypes I know that are out there with people and how they view those who are battling substance abuse. I would love for you to share a little bit about how your experience in this ministry has shattered those walls, I guess, to help you see that those stereotypes, they're not true. And I don't know, is there anything you would love to hit on that? Because those exist everywhere, at least where I'm at.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but as somebody who does have a Christian faith background, and I care about us coming together. I care about us removing the walls that keep us from loving each other well and putting these people over in this corner. I remember when we first started this, that I really felt like God put on my heart, I want you to be so close to these people that people assume you're a drug addict. I want you to get so far in their corner that you get labeled among them. And I had to just be okay with that. I had to realize that the church was going to start judging me for hanging out with these people more and all this stuff. And I've seen a lot of other Christians do that too. And I love seeing pastors step further into that like you do. And it matters a lot because there shouldn't be any barriers that keep us from each other. And it also matters to me a lot because the criminal stereotype around substance abuse is just not accurate. Because if you hang out with, for instance, I have a friend who works at Fairbanks, one of the biggest treatment facilities here in Indianapolis, where my niece detoxed with medically assisted treatment. This guy has been sober for over 10 years. He helps so many people get their families back on track, back together, keep people alive, you know, help them find wellness and sobriety. He has people in his neighborhood who won't let their kids go to his house because of his background in recovery. He's been alcohol free for over 10 years. He has the driest house, the safest house in his entire neighborhood, and parents won't let their kids go over there. And so it's like, wow, some of the best human beings I meet are these people who come out of that addiction because they have a real battle. They know what it means to experience freedom and to hold on to it, and to fight for it, and to treasure it. And I think a lot of us who've never had a chemical dependency, we don't even know what that battle is like. The other reason it's important to talk about is because I'm from a small town. And so my family now has this stigma on our family that we now have, you know, addiction in our family, and all, you know, Maitlen's, we thought they were just really good Methodists or whatever they thought of us, you know, but now we got this drug addict in their family. And in a small town, that stigma will stay on you for generations. I'm serious. And not only is it embarrassing, but it's literally killing people, because some people won't ask for the help they need because they don't want to tell people what's going on. They don't want to be excluded from their church. They don't want to have their friends looking sideways at them and stop inviting them to parties and stop letting their kids come around their kids. They don't want to have that embarrassment. So they just don't talk about it. And then what happens? They never find the help they need, and they end up just losing a loved one to overdose instead of asking for help, you know?
So then I guess maybe if I understand what your mission is and what you guys are doing, then it's almost like you're breaking those walls down so that you can create environments to have conversation that is real, that's safe, stigma-free, to help bring these people back into a place of belonging in their community. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I'd say if we think sobriety is what we're all shooting for with the opioid epidemic, we're wrong. A lot of times what's underneath all of that use, whether you use heroin or 8 hours of Netflix binging, is there's trauma, there's depression, there's things that have not been dealt with that play a lot into our mental health. And so a lot of people use an opioid to just numb themselves, like other people would use alcohol or something else. And so there's so much going on that is beyond just sobriety. Getting someone sober is just a start. But if we never get to a place where we say, look, they're not those people over there, they're with me. A drug addict can't just be in your head, some person who lives under a bridge in Manhattan. Like, they're all around you. I promise you. You have people, people who are struggling with this, but they're not going to tell you. And they're not telling you because they don't know if you can handle that. And if we as Christians, I feel like we should be the front line of reconciliation and say, they're with me. They're not going to lunch with us. Yeah, they're going with us. They're sitting at our table. And we have to start, because what is going on in your life if there are certain people that aren't allowed at your dinner table? You know, I think that's just a better question. So
I mean, I kind of get so frustrated at times. I'm sure you do too, Eric. Where are we reading the same gospels? Are we reading the same story about Jesus? You know what I mean? And it's like, this is what he did. And but I want to hit on something you said, because I think it's so important. You used the word reconciliation, and you said a phrase that I wrote down earlier when we talked. You said about sober living, that sober living isn't the end game. Reconciliation into their community is the end game. Yeah. Can you explain that statement? Because I don't think the majority of people don't think that way.
Yeah. And you know what's ironic is I feel like the people I get to work with now all the time, who are these recovery leaders around the state, if you hear their backgrounds, I mean, they've done time in prison, they've done violent crimes, and then they fought this incredibly hard addiction. And now for years, they lay down their life to help people who were impacted by that. And they are used to have this wake of impact behind them. They may have hurt 20, 50 people in their life of crime and substance use and active addiction, but I'm telling you, they're helping hundreds and sometimes thousands in the wake of the recovery. And I think that is some of the most inspiring gospel I've ever seen, because the end game is for us to take the gifts that God gave us and to use them to serve humanity. That's what Jesus did. He said, you know, take what I've given you, what you have in your hands is all you need. I will take that and I will use it to bless others. We've been designed to be a blessing to others. And I think that whether you're someone who struggles with substance abuse or not, and you find that you're living in depression and have no purpose in life, you might want to look at your theology of like, is what America's telling us about wellness. Self-help is really important. Self-help is really important, especially in 2020, when we needed to start talking about mental health at a new level, because everyone's in isolation and we have things coming to the forefront that we never really experienced before, and families have to be around each other all the time and things start getting triggered. And so self-help is really important. But if it's the end game, my buddy Davey Blackburn, I love he just quoted this yesterday at church, self-help can't be the end game, but it is a great tool to help us get to a healthy place where we can then start to pour out and use the gifts we have for others. So I love seeing people in the recovery community being a shining example of that. They get back to not just being sober, they get back to having the potential to take the God-given gifts that they have and use them for the good of humanity. It's beautiful. We got to follow their example.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of cool because your example that you guys are setting is you're creating a ripple effect where, you know, you create that environment, you're having the conversations, and you're really empowering people, both families of loved ones, but also those who are battling substance disorder. you're empowering them to be a ripple effect where they can give back to other people and, you know, bring others back into community. I just think it's really cool. And what it reminds me of, you remember the story where the four men lower the paralytic in the roof to Jesus
Yeah,
to get healed? Like, they do
I love
whatever
that.
it takes to get that man through the roof down to Jesus.
Yeah.
And when I think about your guys' ministries and what you're doing, that's kind of the image that comes to mind. And it's just really cool that you're living that out, and it's an inspiration. And I know the work is far from done, though, I would imagine, right?
Well, and I'd say this, no, like what I've found is I think the Lord's really put on my heart this season that the most important thing I have to say is actually not even me saying it. It's to give people that need a platform to say what they've been saying. So we really are doing this to amplify the voices that have been kind of marginalized and silenced for a while. These people are heroes, man, and we've written them off, or we've just allowed them to be marginalized. But they've got a lot to say, and I love partnering with these amazing men and women around the state of Indiana who are just doing it. They're really the heroes on the front lines, who are saving lives and restoring lives and repurposing lives and helping people get back to where they're really contributing again to society. We're just literally there to put a stage down and a PA system up and wake people up with art, so that, because it's not a, I think that a lot of our state's initiatives are to help people see the facts, and they think if people just know the facts, then they'll care. But they won't care. It's a matter of the heart. People don't care because they don't care. And so there's a moment in our show where we just show the loss of life, and we just say, look, this is a human problem. These aren't bad people, good people. It's not about that. It's people are just dying by the tens of thousands right now, and that's wrong. Let's start there. Let's start there. Would we all be willing to agree that that's bad? And we can all do something. I can't change policy, but I've got a guitar, and I've got some great friends who are musicians, and we do what we can to help create a platform for these people to say what needs to be said. So
I love that. And I also, before I ask about kind of the future with your guys' ministry and, you know, big dreams and visions, I gotta ask this question, and I'm putting you on the spot, but it's not I think it'll be an easy question for you to answer, because you light up when you talk about how these individuals bless you and how they impact your life. Like, you can see it in your enthusiasm and in your passion. What is the single maybe greatest thing of how, or maybe the deepest transformation of your own life that has come from being close to individuals who have battled addiction and battled substance disorder, and here they are now, you know, growing and learning and thriving? Is it possible to say one thing or one area of your life?
Wow. That's a great question, man.
Sorry, I just came to myself. I had to ask.
No, it's really good. I think what I love about being near these people is and working with people who are, I think in the past I was believing what I was told, that like we need to stay away from these people. This is what these people are like. They're bad influences. So let's protect, and self-preservation kind of thing. And I can literally look at groups of people that I've never been able to look at and say, those are God's people. He made them. He's got a purpose and a plan for their life. And I can now say that to humanity. And I think that I had a version of Christianity that it was, you know, there's a lot of winners and losers, and let's make sure we're on the winning team and not on the losing team. And that's not the way Jesus saw the world. He, you know, you could look at, even, this is kind of a wide answer, bro, but you can even look at kind of the Eastern side of Christianity, you know, that you see art where Jesus isn't just raising from the grave and showing himself raised, but there's art that shows him grabbing Adam and Eve, limp-wristed, like they didn't even choose salvation. It's being done to them. And he's raising humanity from the state that we were in. And I think sometimes we got to realize we as Christians can be like, I'm quoting my buddy Dave, who just said this yesterday at church, but we can be like the people in a boat saying to the person drowning, you just need to swim, but they don't know how to swim and they can't even get air. And you just need to swim. If you could just swim, you'd be fine. Let's get them up out of the boat and let's teach them how to swim. And that's where we need to start. And that's really what this is. It's just another version of that. And I love how Jesus, you know, he's doing that all over the world in different ways. And this is just one way we need to be doing that in America. It's a big loss, man. I told you the height of the opioid epidemic was in 2017 and 2019. Both of those years cleared 70,000. That's more than the American lives we lost in the entire Vietnam War campaign. It's just an astronomical amount of people that we lost that year. But because they were overdoses, people don't care the same way. If we found out there was a 737 going down of any other people every day, we'd be really worried. But because it was those people, we're tired of hearing about it. Well, last year in 2020, it was over 90,000 lost. So it blew away the height of the opioid epidemic. So this didn't get better. It's not going away. I know people are really scared right now. There's so many other things going on in the world and our families, our communities that we have to be worried about with the virus and what's going on in the Middle East and all of that. There's so much to be worried about. But unfortunately, this is in all of our communities, and it's not going away. It won't go away. It's a people problem. It's not a drug problem. So
Yeah, great answer. I mean, I love that the question, you went so deep on it because it has a deep impact on your life. And with all that said that you just communicated and how big of a deal this is, because I agree with you. My question, kind of rounding out this whole interview, is what's next? Like, what's for the future for 2-8 Ministries, and what God is speaking to you and your wife and your team? What's the future?
Dude, that's a great question, and I'll answer as fast as I can. I know the show isn't supposed to go that long.
I know, so I can talk to you forever, man.
I know, right? I hope you guys are enjoying. I thank you for everybody's joining. This is a blast getting to see everybody joining. This is awesome. I love what this show does and bringing hope when we need it so bad.
Me too.
Kate's vision, Jess's vision. It's perfect. It's great timing. They're right on time. I'm gonna make this shorter as I can.
Yeah.
We want to keep putting a spotlight on amazing men and women around the world. And there's some faith movements happening in other parts of the world that you wouldn't believe. And they're better versions of Jesus than anybody I've met. And I want to share those stories with people. And so we love music. We're going to keep making music. It's always going to be a part of what we do. But I'm really feeling this calling to get in to more documentary type work as well, because sometimes these stories are what we need so bad. We need heroes. And sometimes in America, we put the wrong people on platforms. And there's some cool things that's one of the first times I've mentioned this live, by the way, and publicly. Only some of our newsletter database knows that's something we're going to start steering into. And that is just because I have seen it for the last 3 or 4 years, whether I'm mowing my yard, jogging, driving, those mindless things. I keep seeing over and over the vision of sitting across the seat from someone who just has an incredible story we need to hear. And that's some of what we're doing right now with the opioid epidemic too. Yes, it's probably something you're sick of hearing about on the news, but if you meet some of the heroes that are coming out of it, sometimes we see the best humanity in the darkness. And there's some real heroes. I can't wait for you to learn more about them. I can share some information on our channels where we're going to be getting some of those stories out during Recovery Month. Tomorrow is National Overdose Awareness Day. And I just want to share with you guys that we did an event with Fort Wayne, Indiana, Allen County, their biggest county in downtown. They did a big overdose awareness event just last Saturday, and I had a chance to meet a family that lost a 14-year-old son to fentanyl poisoning. He thought he was taking a Percocet pill, and it was just totally laced with fentanyl. And he's dead, 14. Gosh. And his older brother, Bryce, I met him, and I met his mom, Libby. And Bryce was still actively using heroin when I met him at that event. And I told him, I said, please, please, please go to rehab. Don't do this to your mom. I prayed every single day for a year straight for my niece not to die. Please don't do that to your mom. Go to rehab. If you need money, let me know. I'll fundraise some money. Just go. Do it, dude. You got this. You can't do this to your mom. Found out the next day Bryce was going to rehab. So he's been there since Tuesday. And I'm so grateful. Things like that make all this work worthwhile.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really hard habit to kick, guys. There's a reason why people lie to their loved ones and keep using something that can kill you in an instant. If you told me I can't have water for a day, I'm gonna lie to you until I get water, Noah. Sorry, dude. Yeah. Like, I need water. That's where their brains get, and it's really, really hard to beat this. You can't do it on your own. Right. So please have compassion for these people and be praying for Bryce this week and his mom, Libby. Because Libby's now, she didn't have anybody at home. Like, her one son is deceased because of this, and her other is in rehab, and she's lonely. And she's working on her side of this trauma too.
Yeah, that's why I try to always remind people that this isn't just a choice. Hey, I'm choosing to do this. This is an addiction, and it's much deeper than we realize. Okay, last thing. You're going to link a song on this interview. Just tell us about it real quick. What's the song about? What's it called?
This is a song called I'm Ready Now, and my wife Jillian is going to sing it. I wrote it. I just can't sing it as well as she did. This is a song that we dedicated to our niece Olivia. And we waited until she got her 90-day sober token. We're so proud of her that she had made it that far. What this song is about is there is a big, bold step that someone takes when they tell a loved one or a friend for the first time that they need help with their addiction. When you step out of the dark and you tell the truth on yourself, whether it has to do with addiction or just some deep-rooted thing in your life that you can't beat on your own, and you just ask for help, that's a huge step of courage. I don't think we honor that enough. And it doesn't mean that you won the battle. Olivia had a hard, long road ahead of her. And she's over She's over a year sober now. I'm so proud of her, and she's a great mom. She's 21 years old now, and we dedicated this to her when she was 90 days clean, and I just couldn't be more proud of her having the courage to tell us and to trust us enough with that information so that we could start getting her on her next step. So it's called I'm Ready Now. I hope you get a chance to hear it and share it with others.
Love it. Also, website to go to for people who are interested in your ministry. Want to plug it?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you two. One is 28ministries.com, and that's all spelled out. So TWOEIGHT ministries.com. And the other is the name of our initiative that we do around the opioid epidemic specifically. It's called Our Story, Our Time. We believe this is our story. It's not those people over there. It's affecting us all. It's our story, and it's our time to do something about it. And that's ourstoryourtime.life is a website. And they're all kind of linked together a little bit. You can find some of our music and some of what we're doing. This is all grassroots. We're finally starting to get some state and hopefully federal funding, but we've been having to raise our money on our own to do this. We believe in this work, and we love partnering with the amazing men and women we've met who are the real heroes. So
awesome. All right, man. You're an inspiration. Keep doing the hard work. I hope to connect with you again soon, and I'm thankful for Root and Vine bringing us together. I'm proud of all the work you guys are doing, man.
Thank you so much. You too.
All right. Talk to you soon.
See you now.
Bye, Eric.